Here you go, Eric Stromquist and Ken Smyers. Man, we are here at RealComm Live. We got a special guest, a friend of ours from down under, Leon Werfel.
Hi guys, how you going? Thanks for bringing Sydney to me at the conference.
There we go. Yeah, awesome, dude. So tell the folks here what you do.
Yeah, so what Bueno does is we're trying to influence the operational model in the property industry to evolve.
Right.
If you break down the way that people operate their buildings, the brain of their building operations is actually just a calendar. They're doing a whole lot of checklists and tasks based on weekly schedules, monthly schedules, quarterly schedules, and we think that we're better off using a data-driven approach, leveraging all of the instrumentation that already exists in these buildings and algorithms instead of checks. We're trying to evolve the building operations world from being calendar-driven to being data-driven.
Well, speaking of evolution, I saw your marketing brochure, and I think it's very clever what you did, particularly in light of Avengers and the incredible success they've had. Tell us a little bit about the concept and your illustration.
Yeah, we've been working on this problem for a while now of trying to evolve the industry away from calendars and towards algorithms. And everyone starts just taking baby steps along the way. What we're really here to talk about today is, and at the conference, is about how we can further embed these kind of practices into people's enterprises, into our customers' enterprises. It's not as simple as giving someone an additional platform to then expect them to use that to deliver value. In reality, we want that process to be as frictionless as possible, and people spend a lot of time talking about integrating to smart buildings. We want to take smart buildings and integrate them into people's businesses. Right. So we kind of see this maturity spectrum of different people out there in the industry that are doing things with data, and I guess that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. So I brought something along with me, and this is the evolution of data-driven operations.
Pretty clever, very good.
Stage one, that's where the current best practice of the market is. That's preventative maintenance. That's using your calendars to maintain your buildings and operate your buildings. And really it's just checklists set on a fixed schedule, and it's checklists that say to check a sample of piece of equipment. That's stage one. Stage two is doing some work in a spreadsheet. So this is what I've called spreadsheet analytics, but in reality we're talking about manalytics. Using a lot of manual labor to try and recreate like an analytics approach. It's the next stage is downloading a whole bunch of history files and putting them in a spreadsheet, running some formulas to find some outliers and do something about it. It's much better than just doing checklists, but there's still a hell of a long way to go in this space.
Sure.
Next step is to use some analytics. Actually use a proper set of data science tools to analyze your building data. But what's really interesting about that is that people, what they get out of analytics tools is information.
Sure.
And need to take some action. And typically when people start out with these analytics tools, they end up just tracking all of these actions that they're taking in spreadsheets or in email trails. Right. And that's not a very scalable way of doing it, not a very organized way of doing it. Where most of the people in the industry are, and what we're seeing here is Bueno Man's popped up. He's been collecting his infinity stones along the bottom of the screen.
Yep.
And when he's got 4 of those infinity stones, he's using analytics and he's got a parallel CMMS, and that's really the current market-leading practice. It's not the best possible practice, but it's the current market-leading practice.
No, what I like about what you're doing, Leon, is that people have been getting data for a while, but making the data usable, and then the way you're integrating it with existing systems as opposed to creating other systems is sort of brilliant. Makes it more streamlined, and people probably use it more.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this stage of the maturity spectrum, where people have a analytics tool set, but they have basically a light CMMS managing all their tasking, is great. It's much more scalable than using spreadsheets to keep track of all this stuff. But there's still one level deeper we can go. Using a standalone light CMMS or an integrated or a workflow management system still means that all the FMs and technicians on site need to keep track of another piece of software that they need to operate. So where we really want to get to is having all of those infinity stones, having that infinity gauntlet, and integrating these analytics tools into the enterprise, plugging them back into the enterprise CMMS. If we can embed a data-driven model to the way people are operating their buildings without them having to change their day-to-day workflows, if they can see tickets and not know whether they've come from analytics or a reactive call or a PPM task, that's the most frictionless way of possible of doing this, and it removes all of the barriers to getting value, which is why we're all here in the first place.
Well, so then the majority of the buildings are out there are in the evolutionary stage between the 3rd and the 4th So Bueno comes in, and basically what happens? What do you do to take over and bring those infinity stones to bear?
Well, I would say that the majority of buildings out there are actually in that first stage.
Ouch.
Yeah, the majority of buildings in the world are actually, I mean, they're in that first stage. I think that the type of people that you get in this kind of environment, that's not, they're people that are already doing some pretty smart stuff with their buildings, so they're a little bit further along. I'd say the best out of those people, they're doing the fourth stage. So what we want to do is push it one level further.
Gotcha.
Right, and for our community, you might not know the reference to the Infinity Stones, like the Avengers, right? So the guys, whole thing about the Infinity Stones is you can eliminate half the population to make the planet better. And it sounds like what you guys are doing is eliminating half of the waste so that the system can survive and thrive.
Yeah, I would love if we could eliminate half of the waste like this, but you know, maybe that's pretty ambitious. But there's still a hell of a lot of value that we can return. And then the next phase, that last phase, gives you some really unique opportunities to do some cool stuff. In that we start getting access to enterprise data, business data, and comparing that to the field device data that we're getting out of the analytics tools, which is really great because that opens up predicting cost associated with fixing the issues that we're finding in our analytics tools. It's really great because it allows us to identify the cause of the problem out of what's been entered in the CMMS and also what remedy is taken. So that creates a feedback loop that then enables us to identify faults, predict the cost to fix, predict the cause and the remedy that needs to be taken, which is, I mean, we're talking about removing barriers to value and there aren't many left.
Well, and it's ongoing, so it's a monitoring process that just keeps going and going and going, right?
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
So you set it up once and it just kind of runs forever.
You know, but if you build it into your business, you don't have to keep running it. Your business runs it.
Wow. Well, how do people get hold of you?
So we've got a booth here, so come past and say hi. Go to our website, www.buenosystems.com.au, or send us an email, hello@buenosystems.com.au.
Awesome. Man, really do appreciate you, Leon. Thanks so much for taking some time to speak with us.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Well done.
Thank you,
Thank you guys.
Yep, thank you.
See ya.
You good. Leon. First one done, yeah. All right. Yeah, I like it. It's a great slide, isn't it? Look who's coming next. Our friend Therese. All right, so we got Therese Sullivan from Tritium coming on the stage. Welcome, Therese.
Stage, hello.
Good to see you, Therese.
Thank you. Good to be here at RealComm. I
Yeah.
think it's my 6th.
Well, I think it is your 6th, but this is what your 2nd with Tritium, though, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, our community knows you from, you've been on the show, we've dubbed you the Queen of Silicon Valley because of all your sort of great insights into tech. Talk about what your role at Tritium is now.
My role at Tridium is, so I am head of, they call me customer marketing leader, and I still do a lot of interviewing of customers and figuring out, I'm still based in Silicon Valley, as you like to mention. Try to stay in touch with our customers coast to coast, do all the traveling in between. I also lead the Marcom function now, so things like putting on Niagara Summit. Everybody's asking me about Niagara Summit. Yes, that'll be part of my job.
Tritium is a great booth here, and you're over with Mike Westerfield, I believe, coming up with
Oh, there's
Right.
Mike Westerfield.
Yes.
There we go.
There.
All right. Hey, Mike.
Legends, the legends of the industry here.
Welcome to the show,
Good to
buddy.
see you guys.
Yeah.
See you guys.
the stage has got heavy duty with brains here. So.
Uh-oh.
Like a
Where are those
superhero
at?
theme.
They're not
Okay,
here.
Now we can ask tough questions. No, Teresa, the booth and what you're trying to show at this RealComm, IBcon, so much is going on in the industry, so much is going on. We saw Kevin Smith with the cybersecurity. So what's one of your main themes here at the show?
Well, coming after Leon of Bueno, I have to say we have the Master Systems Integrator covered with, he had his Superman, and I think we picked up on that same theme at AHR. We're have that exposed at our booth as well, is that we really are the platform for the Master Systems Integrator to do that normalization data from all the building systems, from lighting to locks to, and certainly HVAC, and get that data over to the enterprise apps that people want it for occupancy tracking and energy management and the suite of applications on that side. In the middle, there always has to be a normalization platform, an integration platform, and that's
Right?
Niagara. But
Well,
Mike is our head of product marketing.
Well, yeah, I want to ask Mike a question, okay?
Oh.
What are you most excited about that Tritium's doing right now?
Ooh, I think it's definitely got to be some of the work we're doing around ontology support and export of that data. And there's a lot of stuff going on in the industry right now. So I think it's an exciting time because what you're seeing is, you're starting to see the bigger enterprises starting to say, all right, what is my strategy around my data? What am I trying to do with it? And so you're seeing the emergence of different open standards for ontology. And so Tridium's been trying to make that work for Niagara users. So making sure that however you want to describe your system, what you want to get out of it, Niagara's the platform you can use to do that. So even since Niagara 4 started, we put in tagging technology, and as we see the rapid adoption and maturity of these ontologies coming along, our mission is to help enable the different partners that are bringing the next generation of AI and machine learning. They need to be trained, right? And who else other than our industry has decades worth of buildings data? So we're trying to get that data to those folks so they can start to do that heavy crunching and augment the way that we take care of buildings in the future. So,
Well, Mike, I saw some of the in the booths, Niagara as a prevalent framework.
yeah.
And I saw some things that were very important regarding the software maintenance agreement because there's so much going on here. How can a large user be assured that their systems and their networks keep getting updated?
Yeah, after, during the keynote this morning, that was one of the big things we saw was the keep themes that, they're never done. Things are always going on. And so our job, at least as keepers of the Niagara framework, are always to make sure that that next technology is at your grasp. And so that means just like Niagara or analytics or anything else, we've got to keep these systems updated. They're constantly, the standards themselves are evolving. Right. Look at BACnet. BACnet's currently looking at Secure Connect, right? And so that's about to go through a major change. You're seeing these ontology, as I mentioned, those are all going along. And so the message there is really, it's not a one-time investment. We need to have relationships with the folks in the buildings. As the gentleman said this morning, it's not just about turning the building over and then the property manager's hands off. It's a set of relationships that have to be managed, and these products that we rely on also have to be maintained because they need to have the latest and greatest. They're going to be able to harness the technology for end users. So.
Well, we had a chance to talk to some IT people, and they're delighted that Tritium and Niagara are taking strong measures to make sure that as changes come up, they get out and they get taken care of right away. So it's a big message to the partners to keep active and make sure when you get this opportunity to do your patching and do your software maintenance, do them.
Yeah, it's definitely an important message. And it's not just about you're getting bug fixes or defects. I mean, there's encryption standards that evolve over time. You're getting that stuff. We recently released an MQTT driver, and then Microsoft made a connector that can communicate directly with Azure, so you can kind of get access to the next generation of intelligence that will come in. So those are the type of things you'll continually get. And so it is an important message that these systems are living, breathing things. Yeah. They're not like the boiler that's been sitting in your basement quietly for 50 years. Oh, the whole world inside your building's changing as we introduce new devices, and the building and the world outside your building's changing too, and that's all causing new needs to pop up every day for the operating system. So we have to be prepared to deal with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think you guys, to me, are like Tritium to the smart buildings is what the combustion engine is to the car, right? I mean, everything sort of runs around you guys, and just like throughout history, the engines keep getting better and better. And Teresa, I guess my question for you would be, as you're talking to customers, what are some things you're hearing that they want, maybe you guys will be working on in the future?
Well, they definitely want, I think just in the areas we're evolving, visualization. So standards like, we're all used to responsive design, and HTML5 came in a big way. Let's, keep evolving along with, keep evolving the visualization layer, communications, the connectivity to the different connectors all the time, people developing different drivers.
Sorry to interrupt you. I was saying, something really interesting we're seeing is, I think the gentleman from, who was it, Microsoft this morning was talking about the convergence of IT and OT. Like, we're seeing more demand for IT grade standards on the network. So people are starting to merge these things. So like 802.1x, you're seeing that, different NIST standards, like all this stuff's coming in, and so that's where a lot of the, I guess surprising but not too surprising, we're getting a lot of demand for that. People want to know that these devices can coexist peacefully on the network with their other important assets in the building. So,
well, I tell you what, as we wind down, a couple things. What booth are you guys at so people can stop by and see you?
So we're right out in front. It's called Booth 501.
Booth 501. There you go. That's kind of like. Okay. And then the second thing
the
is
jeans, just like the
Reese,
jeans.
talking about communication. I mean, you've done a great job, and Tridium has always done a great job of keeping their community informed. If you haven't signed up for the Tridium updates, what's the best place to do that at? Tridium.com
sure,
or
Tridium.com. We also have the Niagara community, if you're already part of the community.
Okay.
And so many, Ken Sinclair and I have this new community of practice theme that we keep harping on, but many people at this conference are part of the Niagara community of practice.
Yep.
Certainly almost everybody in the room at the Integrator Summit yesterday. And we've got Tridium.com certainly, but if you've got that community password, Niagara community.org, there's a lot of information available.
There you go. Mike Westfield, Therese, thank you so much for stopping by and talking with us. You guys are doing great stuff. Keep it going.
Thanks for all you guys do for the industry.
Yeah.
Really love
Appreciate
it.
you, brother.
Yeah.
All right, for sure.
Mike, you just got back from England, didn't you?
What's that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight, I fresh in last night from
That's
UK.
what I thought.
So
That's what I thought.
I got to make this show.
Well
Teresa,
done.
like, you got to get on here. I'm like, I'm running there.
Well done, well done.
All right, Eric Stromquist and Ken Smyers. Jerry, how you doing, man? We're out walking the floor. There is so much good stuff going on here, man. It's pretty darn amazing. What do you think, Kenny?
Eric, I think this is a great gathering of some of the best people in the industry, and it's much larger than last year. It looks like it's growing again. I think here's some of the leading minds and leading innovators in our industry, and it's an amazing event.
Well, I see Richard Newberry here, man, from KMC Controls. Richard, come say hi to us real quick. How you doing, buddy? We're walking the floor. It's Richard Newberry from KMC Controls, man. All kinds of good stuff going on here, man. We're just taking a walk, man. We're live on the screen, and we got to slow down a little bit because I'm so excited because we're going to this special booth over here called Restore Point. But we're going to come see you later if that's okay.
All right, Richard. Good to see you. Okay.
Louder. Okay, so we're back. We're talking louder. We're walking over here. It's all good. It's all funky. It's all fun. But, man, what a great show, Kenny. So many great things at the booth. And let's see if we can find somebody really cool to talk to that we don't know about. This Restore Point, those guys look pretty interesting. Should we stop in and see them?
I think so. We're going to be talking to one of the leading players in the providing data compliance, risk mitigation for commercial real estate.
Let's go over and talk to these
Oh, well, here they are right here. Here's Dave and Scott.
Nice to meet you. Hey, Scott, nice to meet you.
Scott Tanner.
I'm Ken Smyers.
Ken,
Dave,
nice to meet you.
Scott,
Hey.
pleased to meet you.
Good to meet you as well. Let me take that.
Yeah, guys. So listen, this is kind of cool, man. So tell us what Restore Point's all about, man. I like the name, but what do you guys do?
So we're a data management company. The roots of our company were backup and disaster recovery. A few years ago, we decided to move into cybersecurity, so we standardized on Palo Alto Networks platform, and then we do analytics. So think about us as everything around data. We move it, we mash it, we encrypt it, we protect it, back it up, we archive it, all of those types of things.
You're very, very cool. So, guys, we're going to talk a little bit louder, but, yeah, it's awesome. So all things data. And, you know, I see a word here that it really scares me called compliance. Scott, tell us about compliance and why that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So whenever I think about compliance, I think about it in multiple dimensions. So you have to think about your end users or your endpoints. You have to think about what's going on in the cloud and cloud-based services. You also have to think about what's going on in your data center. So what we provide is a solution that can actually handle data and compliance against all three of those components, so we can give you a complete view. So no matter what your compliance standards are, if you think about PCI compliance, you think about GDPR, any other compliance standards you might have to adhere to, that's what we can provide an assessment and report against, and then take it to the next step. So not just reporting, but also remediation. So if you happen to be out of compliance, we can give you the actual standards that we're going to deliver to, and we can actually help you get yourself back into compliance so you can meet those audit reports.
Scott, I know there's two things that were unique. Number one is you tailor your services directly to the real estate industry, where some people are in general fields, you focus on the real estate industry. And I see something remarkable here that I haven't seen yet, and that is that you work with the three top cloud providers. You work with Azure, AWS, and Google. Tell us a little bit about that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. So our platform is against all public clouds. So whenever you think about where your data might sit, what we have is people tend to pick one cloud or another. So you might look at Azure, AWS, or Google Cloud, which is coming on board now. But at the end of the day, what you care about is the ability to be able to meet compliance in any of those clouds and be able to port data across all those clouds. So our software and our capabilities are actually against any one of those services, and we can also extend our services into your data center if you have assets in there too.
Very, very cool. So Dave, I got a question for you. What is, I mean, because you obviously talk to a lot of owners, and what is sort of the one thing that they should know that they don't know, that you wish they did about data?
About data. So, security and data, right? So we're, we look at data as protecting it at the endpoint level. We look at it protecting at the network level. We look at it protecting at the cloud level. With machine learning and artificial intelligence right now, we actually can do a lot better, right? So what we do is in 30 days, we can tell you, here's your baseline of what you should expect in your network. This is what your users are doing, where they're going. And then we collect data off the endpoints, the network, and the cloud, and we compare it against what we expect, right? And so that's the big thing for us. And when we say the last piece of it is, if all else fails, make sure you have a good backup.
Nice, nice. So it sounds like it's very predictive in that regard.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, and why is that important? Why is it important to have predictive data analytics, Scott?
So if typically in the past what's happened is you're always looking at what's gone on in the previous 30 days, previous 12 months. That doesn't do you any good because it really doesn't give you the ability to say what's coming down the pike. So anything that we use is predictive in the fact that you can actually determine what's happening, you can determine how to prevent that from happening, and then that gives you the ability to respond faster and quicker before something does happen inside of your network, compromises you, and you might happen to end up in the news.
Scott, I think there was an explanation I overheard one of your colleagues talk about, is that some people, when they do a cloud partnership, they leave it alone and they kind of forget about it. You guys make sure that doesn't happen. You continuously monitor that relationship?
Yes, that's correct. Actually, our CTO, he's very famous for saying, if you use set it and forget it, you will set it and forget it, and you will never come back to it. So it's very important not to just set it and forget it, but to partner with a company like ours that can actually have eyes on 24/7 and can actually be predictive in that fashion and can have eyes on it for you while you run your business day to day.
Well, very cool. So I'm just meeting you two characters, so I'm interested. How did you guys get in the business?
So I retired from AT&T after 30 years, and RestorePoint was my customer. And so the company was founded 15 years ago by my business partner. And Scott was my right hand at AT&T for 20 years, and I recruited him to come in and be our chief customer officer.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what have you found the most challenging about transitioning from AT&T to RestorePoint?
What have I found the most challenging? I think going from a bigger company to a smaller company that's much more nimble and quick like us, you really have to change your mindset because our goal is to really be adaptive and predictive in everything that we're doing. So we're using that data and analytics ourselves, which is actually cool and refreshing because we didn't get that visibility in our previous jobs. We were always reacting to the past. We're reacting to numbers that we didn't quite understand. Now we're in a place where we can actually do that and have an impact for these businesses.
Scott, some of the headwinds we face with people taking on technology partners is how long does it take to get started? What's the initial steps? And if you contact, is it 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? When does the customer start to feel the services that are provided?
So let me kind of walk you through the process. So for all the RealComm 2019 attendees, what you can do is go to restorepointinc.com. There's just a quick form to fill out there. You can schedule a free assessment with us. Within a week, we'll get you set up on that free assessment, and then what we'll be able to do is provide you an outlook and analytics based upon that within 30 days. We need a full cycle to be able to run that so that we can see you actually what's happening in your network during that period of time. But then after that, what we'll do is we'll stay with you through the process. We'll help you look at it. We'll help you determine what remediation steps are necessary.
That's pretty aggressive.
Yeah, very, very aggressive. So, golly, you guys just got me thinking, man. So I'm thinking about cybersecurity. We're hearing a lot about that. What do most of your customers not know that they should about cybersecurity vis-a-vis their data?
So the endpoints are probably the weakest link, right, when you think about cybersecurity, right? It's your end users, right? Clicking on things, going where malware, ransomware, right? That's what we're seeing in the industry. A product we use from Palo Alto is called Traps. And what Traps allows us to do is when a Word document opens or a PowerPoint opens, there's a sequence of events that happens. What Traps does is it makes sure that sequence of events and where it's pointing to is correct. And so even if you didn't have malware or some malware that wasn't discovered before, we call it 0 day, right? We can detect it based on the sequence of events that are happening, and that's a big deal, and that's a change from the McAfees and the semantics that we've used in the past.
That's got to be hard to hack. I mean, for somebody to try and get around that, right? It adds a whole other degree of security, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It gets into that predictive analysis. So, if you don't know what it is, why open it in the first place? So our whole model is to build a platform, use cloud intelligence in that platform to be able to help you with that predictive analysis. Yes.
Okay. Well, great. I think we're going to break. So, thank you guys very much.
Thanks so much. Great.